practice problems if you don't have a piece of paper to put them on. Yes, this is the lunch period if I remember.
It is.
Okay.
You have remembered.
Now, there will be 2 problems on tomorrow's quiz. Okay? Just like there were the last time we took a quiz over this material back in whatever, October or whenever it was. One of the problems on the quiz is going to look like this. John, please take your hood off. It's going to look like this. Okay? And the directions are going to say, find the center and the radius. So, obviously, this equation is not in standard form. So we are going to have to do our completing the square process, right? You remember that?
No.
So what's the first thing I want to do when I look at this problem? I want to rearrange it. So x squared minus 4x, and then I remember my blank, plus y squared plus 16y, and another blank, equals 7 and 2 blanks.
Oh, I remember this.
We have to put those blanks in there because we're going to be adding something, right? And the purpose of adding something is so that I can have these 2 parentheses. Remember? It's the opposite of what's in the parentheses that gives us our center. Yes, we talked about this yesterday, okay? So, I need to complete the square. What is going to go in this blank? 4. Why is 4 going to go in that blank? Half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So there's going to be a 4 on both sides. Now, what's going to go in this blank? 64, because half of 16 is 8, and 8 squared is 64. You did that so that you can take these 3 terms and make a parentheses out of them. What is that x parentheses going to be? X minus 2. X minus 2. Always use that sign right there. So it's x minus 2. What about my y parentheses? What's it going to be?
X plus 8.
Y plus 8?
Oh, never mind. Okay.
And that's going to add up to what? 75?
So square root 75 for radius.
So my radius is the square root of 75. Now, sometimes that's going to reduce. And if it does, if you want full credit, you're going to have to reduce it. So actually, 75 does break down.
5 root 3.
5 root 3. And where is my center?
2 negative 8.
2 negative 8. So one problem on the quiz is going to be just like that. Okay? We did several examples in your notes yesterday, so you can get those out and redo them or watch the video again or whatever if you need more practice on that. But one question is going to look just like that. The other question is a little tricky. It's the backwards of that. So I'm going to tell you that the center is 5 negative 2, the radius is 6, and you're going to write the equation. Now, even though we haven't practiced that, I think you can do it. It's easy. You're just going backwards. So your job is to make an equation that looks like this. So what will that look like? X minus 5 squared. Remember, the parentheses is always the opposite, right? So it's going to be x minus 5 squared plus, don't forget there's a plus there, y plus 2 squared equals, watch it, 36. Because remember, the radius is the square root of this number. So if we know the radius is 6, that number must have been a 36, right? Now, we're gonna do one more of those because we didn't practice any of them yesterday. They're so simple. Please don't miss these. The center is -1, -2, and the radius is 7. What would the equation of the circle be?
X plus 1.
Thank you. Squared. Don't forget the squared. The parentheses has to be squared.
Plus y. Plus 2.
Equals 49. Good. 2 questions on tomorrow's quiz, and those are them. Got it? Okay, so now we need to get our notes back out. We need to pick up where we left off yesterday. Which was on page 54. What?
Why can't I find my packet? Where did I put it?
Honey, I'm sorry, I wish I knew.
I think I left it in the same June on accident.
Okay, so we need to do another parabola problem. Okay? These are very, very easy, but they are brand new to you, so we need to practice. We did one yesterday, we're going to do more today. While I'm messing around here, who remembers the rules for how a parabola opens? That's right. And how, guys, how do I tell which way it opens?
If it's X, it opens up or down.
If it's X squared, it opens up or down. You are so right. What if it's Y squared?
It opens down. Right.
No, Y squared is left or right.
That has a negative sign.
Yes, a negative means down or left, depending on which is being squared, right? All right. So now addition to
We get a longer one, no, because we got canceled. I doubt it.
Okay. Now, let's take a look at problem B. We are in section 2, section 2, and we're going to look at problem B. All right, so here we go. Now, I can't remember, I think I told you yesterday, guys, stop. I think I told you yesterday that the picture is not a required piece of this. I'm not grading the picture. What I'm grading is what you put down for all of these things, okay? And FW stands for focal width, which is also referred to as the latus rectum, so that's why I have an LR there in parentheses. Now, in order to answer those questions, though, a picture is very helpful for me. So I always draw a picture. If you can do it without, that's absolutely fine. I like to see it, it helps me. Vertex. Anybody know where the vertex of this is?
0, 0.
Why?
Because there's no numbers.
There's no adding or subtracting. It's the adds and subtracts that move your vertex around. If there's no addition and subtraction, then you are at the origin. Now, remember what we just talked about. This is a y squared positive. So y squared positive is right. So this parabola looks like this. Now, why is that a critical piece of information? Because the focus, remember F stands for focus, The focus is a point inside the parabola. If you don't know which way it opens, you can't put the focus down there. The focus is somewhere inside the parabola. In order to know where it is, you need to know what this distance is. That distance we call P, and in every parabola equation, this number is 4P. Always 4P. So 4P is 12, which means P is 3. So you are going to start at your vertex, and you're going to go right 3 to get this point. So what are the coordinates to that point? 3, 0. 3, 0. So your focus is at 3, 0. 3, 0. Now, if you went right 3 for your focus, you're going to go left 3 for your directrix. But your directrix is a line. That is the point, -3, 0. But you need the whole line, which is x equals -3. This is forward. How do I know it's x equals? Because it crosses the x-axis. Whatever axis it crosses is the letter that it is. Okay? This one crosses the x-axis. The x-coordinate is -3. Now, who remembers the focal width? This is the easy one. 12. Very good. In every parabola you ever look at, this number right here is so important. Not only is it the 4P thing, but it is also the width of the parabola through the focus, the focal width, always. And we're done. That's all there is to it. Let's try the next one because it has adds and subtracts them. Yes?
I understand what you're saying, but like,
Which dot?
the one that we're trying to find is
This one right here? How did I find the point for it? This distance, I knew my vertex was at the origin. I knew the focus had to be inside the parabola, so it's not up here, back here, down here, it's got to be right there. To find the distance, which is called P for some reason, all the time, that number, whatever it is 4 P's. So if 4 P's are 12, then 1 P must be 3. So I know I have to move 3 to get that.
Right. So just divide that number by 4.
Yep. Okay. Now, let's talk about this one, because this one is a little bit different. Want to take a wild guess where the vertex of this one is?
2, -1.
Very good, Brittany. Did you hear her say 2, -1? Because when I write an ordered pair, x has to come first. So even though the equation is written with the y first, it has to be x, y. So her vertex is at 2, -1. So the vertex is 2, -1. Is that okay with everybody? Now, let's go ahead and fill this one in right now too, because I don't have to do any work to fill this one in. What's my focal width? 4. Here is the number, guys. Don't look at the numbers inside the parentheses. The ones inside the parentheses only give you your vertex. It's the number outside the parentheses that's the important one. Now, here's my vertex. Which way does this guy open? Take a look at your equation. What do you think?
Right, yeah.
Right. How do we know it's right? Y squared, positive number. So it opens to the right. So it looks like this. Remember, nobody's grading your picture.
The 4 positive is what you mean.
What?
The 4.
The 4 being positive.
Yes, yes. Now, remember that your focus is always inside the parabola. Straight ahead there somewhere from your vertex. I have no idea how far that is, but I can figure it out, right? I know in this problem that 4p is 4, so p must be 1. So you're going to use your common sense and you're going to say, look, this is the point 2, negative 1. If I start at 2, negative 1 and take 1 step forward, where will I be? 3, negative 1.
Wow.
Now, when we take a test over this, the test is actually written on graph paper, so that will help you because you'll actually have the grid and you can count spaces. If you want to do this on graph paper, go ahead, if it helps you. But that's your focus, 3, negative 1. Now, if I went right 1 for my focus, then I'm going to go left 1 for my directrix, right? I'm going to back up 1, and that's going to be my directrix. Now, which axis does it cross?
X-axis.
This is called the x-axis, folks. It crosses the x-axis. So that equation is going to be x equals what? You backed up 1, so it's going to be x equals 1. Remember, you started right here at your vertex, which is at 2, and you backed up 1. Got it?
So will the
Oh, okay, got it.
P be the same as the distance?
P is the distance.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be like different, like sign.
Yes. P is always the distance, and whatever it is, you go one way for the focus and the other way for the directrix. Always. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, so here we go. Where is my vertex? Everything stems from the vertex. Where is it?
3, 1.
It is at 3, 1. You are right. So 3, 1. Right there is my vertex. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Going up.
No, it's going down. Because it's -8.
Down is right. Nick is right. It opens down. It's x that's being squared, right? Everybody got that? X is being squared. And that number is negative. That means this parabola opens down. What's the focal width? 8. Notice she did not say -8. It is the width of the parabola, so you're not going to say negative. The negative tells us it opens down, but it has nothing to do with the width, okay? All right. Now, would you agree that your focus this time is in here somewhere? Now remember, I'm not grading your picture. I'm just putting that point in there somewhere to give me an idea of, okay, I got to go down to get that focus point. I really need to know how far down I need to go. How far down do I go? 2. And why am I going 2? Because 4p is 8, so p is 2.
So you don't do the negatives.
Well, you're moving, so it doesn't really matter. You can if you want, but that means you're moving -2. But here I'm going to be moving +2 because I'm going to go up for my directrix. All right, so here we go. This comes the part where you got to have your thinking caps on. If we start at 3, 1, and again, you're free to use graph paper if it helps you. We're starting at 3, 1, and we're going to go down 2 steps.
3, -1.
3, -1. Very good. Your focus is at 3, -1.
Your distance is at y
So here we go. 3, negative 1. I came down 2. Now, I'm going to start right here at my vertex, and I'm going to go up 2. And that is going to be my directrix. Now, which axis does it cross?
Y.
Y. So this is going to be a y equals equation. Well, y equals what? You started at 3, 1
3.
and went up 2.
3.
So it's going to be y equals 3. That's exactly right. I'm counting up 2.
So the directrix is going to be like whatever is not squared
Yep.
is the opposite.
Yep. We started at 3, 1.
Good job, Bill.
And if we went up to here, that would be 3, 2. And that is 3, 3. So y is 3. We're up. Yeah, that's right. We add 2 to the y coordinate. Alex Kylman, keep those eyes open.
Is it almost time for lunch?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll probably get it.
We're hungry. Let's do one more example and we'll go to lunch, okay?
Still
One more example. I think there's one more parabola.
I need lunch. I don't want that to happen. I think we spent it like a year.
So here we go.
He said I was so
All right, here we go. Let's see how far we can get with this without my help. What do you think? Do you have ideas?
Vertex.
Do you know your vertex is
Negative
where?
1, 1. No, other way. It's negative 1, 1.
Negative 1,
1. No, it's not. They flip it.
Negative 1, 1.
Because
Negative 1, 1.
Because look, the x is first.
The vertex is negative 1, 1. Now, you guys have discovered one of the things that trips kids up, even though it's not intentional. I mean, this isn't like a trick problem, but you have to pay attention. When you write an ordered pair, you always put x first. So even though the equation is written in this order, we have to put the x component first. So it's going to be negative 1, 1. Does everyone see that? So you just have to pay attention to that. Now, negative 1, 1. Okay. Now, which way does this guy open?
Right. 16 is positive.
Right.
Well, I'm hearing right and left, which
It's
is
right.
good because it's y squared. But this number right here is the one that tells you, and that is positive, so it opens to the right.
That's because you're 18.
How long is my focal width? This is a fat one, right? This is going to be kind of a wide parabola. It's 16 units wide. Think about putting it on graph paper. That's big. Okay. Focus. The focus is somewhere in here. I'm not sure where. It doesn't matter, but I know it's inside the parabola. Which means that to get to it, I am going to count off that direction, right? How many that direction am I going to go? 4. Because 4p is 16, so p is 4. So again, if you have graph paper, you can just count the little boxes. If not, you're just going to intuitively say, I'm starting here, which is at negative 1, and I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, so where would I be? 3. I'm at 3, 1. If you start at negative 1 and count 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to be at 3. Okay?
What happens if you don't get like a p, like it's like a decimal?
Well, so like 1/2. That would just mean your coordinate, your x or whatever, would have a half, would have a fraction in it. So if p were a 1/2, then you would start at negative 1 and just go forward a 1/2 a step. So you get negative 1/2. Okay? All right, so that's my focus, 3, 1. Now, if we counted for this direction, we're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4 this direction for our directrix. Remember, you go the same distance, just the opposite way. So if you start here at -1, 1, and you back up, where will you be?
-5.
X equals -5. Now, when we come back, there's some graph paper over there on one of the shelves, and some of you may just want to start doing this on graph paper because you're having a hard time visualizing it, which is fine, but you'll count it off on the graph paper. All right, so when we come back, we will do, let's see, what time is it? I need you back at 48. 48.
Miss Ford, you want me to
Take it off. Yep, thank you. Leave it up. Just press